Rob, I mentioned it. The Knicks, they miss out on Donovan Mitchell. I thought they were going to get him. I think most people felt like they were going to get him.
All they did was talk about it for all off season.
And he's from New York. He wanted to play here, which is rare for a superstar, right?
Right. Most
and
guys
they blew
don't.
it.
Right.
They blew it. Now, look, let me start by saying this. He's going to the Cavaliers. I think, Rob, basketball-wise, for Donovan Mitchell, this is better. He's on a better team. Darius Garland, who was an all-star, will team up with him in a great backcourt. Evan Mobley, who was one of the great rookies last year, looks like he'll be a star.
He played great out of USC, man. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. Only after 1 year, so he looks like he'll be a star.
Yep.
And Jared Allen had a fantastic year for what he is. I mean, he was an all-star. So they are really building something special, potentially special, in Cleveland. And I just think he's got a better chance of winning there than he would have in New York. I mean, Rob, when Carmelo came, people were hyped. Didn't turn in anything.
Well, they've been hyped for everything.
Amari Stoudemire, Carmelo,
I told you, it's always a day late, $1 short for the Knicks, and that's been their history, Chris. And they hadn't won a championship since 1973. Those are just the facts. Facts. Nothing else. Those are the facts.
Right.
And they just keep doing the same thing. I wrote a column the other day about all the misses. We talked about it, right, when they signed R.J. Barrett, right?
Right.
That it was the first player that they had signed, Chris, to an extension since Charlie Ward in 1999. That's unbelievable.
23 years of futility.
That's a 20. You're talking about Isaiah Thomas was an executive. Phil Jackson was an executive.
Larry Brown was a coach. Lenny Wilkins was a coach. I mean, that's why Isaiah had his issues there, right? But when you look at Isaiah Thomas, first of all, we all know, and it's been proven, that he drafted well. And I'm not trying to say he did an awesome job there. I'm just saying he drafted well. And Rob, he hired Lenny Wilkins, Hall of Fame coach, and Larry Brown, Hall of Fame coach.
And that was what's crazy? That was the one place Larry Brown, it blew up in 1 year.
Oh, gosh.
Larry Brown, everywhere he went, Chris, he turned those teams around, except the Knicks. And that didn't make sense.
It looked like, Rob, he didn't know. If you didn't know better, and I think you think Larry Brown's the best coach ever. I won't go that far, but he's one of the best coaches ever. But in my book, one of the best. But Rob, that was disastrous.
Yeah,
he was starting dudes based on, like, if they went to a town, played a team where the guy was from or something, he'd start them.
Right.
It was crazy.
No. At the end, but I saw him, when he turned that Pistons team around and won a championship and all that. And
that was a great coaching job.
It was. He really did a great job for those 2 years.
And Philly did a great job with Iverson.
But anyway, the Knicks, I don't get it. I don't get how all this time, all the conversation, all the talk, and Cleveland gave up unprotected first round picks.
Only 3.
That's what they gave up.
And 2 pick swaps, which they're going to be better than Utah, so pick swaps won't mean anything.
So why couldn't the Knicks give that up?
Well, let's hear Rob G. What are the reports
on what happened
about why the Knicks couldn't get it done?
Well, initially, this was from Tony Jones of The Athletic. This is when they first started engaging, and he's one of those plugged-in guys in Utah. According to him, the Jazz offered Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks in exchange for 6 future firsts, which, again, they had 8 available to him.
Right.
Plus Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, Miles McBride, and filler, which would have been like Derrick Rose's contract.
That's filler.
Yes.
I mean, all those dudes are filler in my book.
Okay, and the Knicks said no. So according to Shams Charania, he reported that before the R.J. Barrett extension was signed, their final offer from New York side was R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and 2 unprotected firsts.
So we don't, because my thing is, if they could have, I like R.J. Barrett. I think the dude, he averaged 20 points last year. He works hard. He's improving his game. He's a high character guy. Like, I think he could, Rob, one day become a Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan type player. That's not a superstar, but that's like a star. You like that. So I think though they could have gotten him for. I don't think they had to give up RJ.
But the deal on the table. Give up the 6 picks. Who cares? You got 8. What do you care?
They wanted to cut it down to what, 4?
They cut it down to 2.
I would have said 5 and given them 5.
And
maybe to your point, at the end of the day, maybe I do give them 6.
What do you care? Danny Ainge had 14 first-round picks.
Right.
Seriously.
You just said it. What have they done with their picks?
Nothing.
Since 1999. They haven't picked one guy since before RJ that they want to keep.
So the whole idea, if I can get somebody who can play now rather than a question mark, right, and you don't know if it's going to pan out or if it works out, I mean, I get picks, but I'm not all into that. I'm just
you know what that's about, Rob.
What is it?
That is GMs. You know this. You can sell 2 things in the NBA. You sell winning or you sell hope. And these teams that are bad, what Danny Ainge is doing, and sometimes it works. It worked in Boston, right? He got all those picks. He's gone now, but they're good now because of the picks from that trade with the Nets when they got all those first-round picks. But if your team is bad, you go to your owners and you say, yeah, okay, look, we're not going to make the playoffs this year. We're not that good of a team.
But look what we got.
Right. We got 12 first-round picks over the next 6 years. And we can either make the right picks and get good players. Chances are we'll get a star out of those, at least one out of those picks. And then the other ones we can trade for
other
good
stuff,
players.
right.
So there's some legitimacy to it. But I also think, Rob, we know this Clippers, Sacramento.
They
we
all
can name a
had
bunch
picks.
of teams where it hasn't worked.
Right, and my thing is, if you're the Knicks, you're not talking about the future, man. The future's been 30 years going, Chris.
40 years.
Right,
Since
enough.
Patrick Ewing, you're
enough
right.
with the future. Give me a good star player, a guy who, like you just said, who's from New York, who knows the field, has a feel for it, who can probably excel and not be, intimidated by the whole New York thing. And it would have been. He wanted to be there. That's what. And instead, he has to go to Cleveland. And I'm sure he would have rather played in New York. But he, as you said, basketball wise, there's no doubt that where Cleveland is, the team is better.
Right. And this is just like you said, the Knicks blowing it. And look, we both said Donovan Mitchell like by himself, he's not leading you to the promised land.
Right.
Okay, they probably would have been a lower rung, maybe a 7th seed in the East with Donovan Mitchell. But he's 25 years old. He's a legitimate star. He's exciting to watch. He would have lit the Garden up. And he would have potentially brought another star player there in the future. And with him, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, like that's not bad. That's not bad. And maybe you grow together and maybe you eventually turn into something. But now they don't even have that, Rob.
No, this is a mistake. This is the Knicks being the Knicks, and you can't feel good about it if you're a Knicks fan and go, "What? Wait a minute. They talked about Donovan all summer, and now he winds up in Cleveland."
Yeah.
Over what probably is throwing in another pick or so. And again, you could have kept RJ. And instead, you don't have any of that.